closer and brighter until I bathed in its radiance. Legions of beautiful angels, all bearing the same likeness, froze in various postures. Hundreds of candles winked their greetings. Was this heaven?
She's waking.
Dr. Rothgard said behind me. A siren rang in my ears. Red flashing lights hurt my eyes. 2 paramedics were carrying me to a waiting ambulance. The medic on my right was tall and had long blonde hair. At first I thought he was the lead singer from the Centennial Band, but that one had cropped hair and a bashful, friendly demeanor. This man looked like he hated the world. The other attendant, by contrast, had dark hair and a slight build.
What happened?
Asked the tall figure.
She fell.
His companion replied. The door shut behind me. I felt a rush of movement as the ambulance squealed into the night. It was all clear to me now. I must have knocked myself unconscious on those cobblestones. My friends had obviously sent out a search party. I was lucky to be alive. Oh, the nasty nightmares my spill had caused. I squirmed on the gurney, trying to get comfortable, but the crick in my neck was unbearable. When I attempted to sit, 2 hands pushed me back and held me in place. My neck, I said. It hurts. I felt a sting in my neck. The larger paramedic was threading an intravenous needle into it. Bloody fluid drained into it. Well, this isn't the way it happened in movies. Shouldn't it go in my arm? I asked.
You mustn't speak.
The dark-haired paramedic said, with a warning glance at his co-worker. I closed my eyes and settled into their care. For once in my life, I felt genuinely thankful for help, for loving friends, for the speeding ambulance. The local idiots would blame my misfortune on the ghost. Well, I would worry about that later. Maybe I could concoct a story about a band of vicious archer. My eyes flew open. The ambulance had stopped. I rolled at high speed into the emergency room where a crew of medical workers were waiting for me. A thermometer slipped in my mouth. A cup wrapped around my arm. A tube slipped past my nose and into my throat. I raised my eyes to the mirror above and saw my battered and swollen face. My worried parents hovered over me.
You had us so scared.
My mother quavered, rubbing my arm and trying to smile through her tear-streaked face. Her pancake makeup had cracked in several places. A false eyelash was halfway peeled off. Despite her tangerine Pucci pantsuit and platinum bleached hair, my mother looked old. My father, his own Pierre Cardin trench coat, beige, unbuttoned and crumpled, patted my head as if he would never stop. His toupee had slid over one ear, and his gray mustache quivered.
Thank God you're all right.
Well, God had nothing to do with it, and I tried to tell them so. But my voice wouldn't utter a single syllable. What did this mean? I opened my mouth to take a deep breath, hoping it would calm me. That's when I realized I wasn't breathing, not a single breath. Now I was scared. Open-mouthed, I bore down hard, but my chest muscles didn't budge. Yet my parents still smiled benignly at me.
What would we have done without Dr. Rothgard?
My mother said.
Yes, what could we have done?
My father echoed. Dr. Rothgard? The doors flew open and Dr. Rothgard, clad in green scrubs, strode into the room. He was real? Ooh, I shouted, but no sound passed my lips. I tried grabbing my mother's sleeve, but my arm wouldn't work. Please, I silently begged her. Please don't let him do anything to me. Please make him go away. She must have noticed my distress, for she smiled encouragingly at me.
It's all right.
My mother said.
You just need a little transfusion.
A transfusion? So I wasn't dead after all? Would a transfusion restore my heartbeat? Could it make me breathe? Was this normal hospital procedure? My parents had no problem with it, so it must be fine. A musky-smelling mass slipped over my nose, and a white cat scampered out of the room.
One got away.
My father said, smiling.
That's all right.
Dr. Rothgard said.
I always prepare more than I need, just in case.
More? More what? I glanced at Dr. Rothgard, who was fiddling with a machine beside my bed. He looked up at my parents.
You'll have to leave now.
I started to tell Dr. Rothgard I really needed them to stay, but nothing happened. As my parents, still smiling the same plastic smiles, edged away from me, the rest of the room opened up. Beyond me were hundreds of beds. On each bed lay a white cat. Long tubes ran from the cats to the machine. The inside of the tubes was red. Was that cat blood? I looked again in the mirror. The bruises and swelling were diminishing. My nose had shrunk and was turning pink. White fur was sprouting on my cheeks. I clawed at it, trying to pull it off. Laughter rang in my ears, and I spun around to see who it was. The room was filled with giggling girls and guffawing boys, all in costumes. At the sight of my unmasked face, one of the pirates pointed and snorted.
Oh, I told you it was her.
He said to the gorilla next to him. The gorilla nodded, opened the bag he was holding, and shoved another handful of potato chips between his rubber lips. I ran the back of my head across my dripping forehead and seriously considering changing out of my costume. Sweat poured down my back and my arms. Had the basement always been this hot, or was it the new decor? The bright yellow and orange walls reminded me of summer campfires, except the colors hurt my eyes and made them water. I pushed through the apple bobbing line toward the snack table. No one else seemed to mind the heat, but then no one else wore a fur-lined cat costume. Ah, it was hot. I hoped the ice chest was full. I desperately needed to drop cubes beneath my outfit. Except sitting at the game table at the far end of the room, just past the food and the beverage area, was one of my friends. She was wearing a faded Victorian gown and playing cards with a Kate figure opposite her. Judging from the size, her partner was obviously an adult, probably one of the chaperones. I grabbed 2 handfuls of ice and rubbed them across my face and along my neck. The ice instantly melted under my scorching skin, but I felt slightly cooler. If only my neck didn't hurt so much. I wandered to the card table, curious as to the identity of the chaperone and what game he and my friends were playing. I peered over the shoulder of the Kate form to look at the cards. Startled, I drew back. The cards' faces were completely black. The chaperone turned slightly and looked at me. There was no one inside the cape. No one at all. I gasped and woke up. Dr. Rothgard had pulled one of the chairs beside the couch and was sitting there watching me, contentedly puffing on his pipe. At the other end of the room, the fireplace crackled. That's why I was so hot. I pushed away the blanket he had tucked around me. I started to sit up, but my head still hurt and the room whirled with the effort. I settled back into the seat cushions, closed my eyes, and listened to the chiming tinkle of a piano. Someone else was here too? I opened my eyes again and looked at Dr. Rothgard. He's playing the piano. He lowered his pipe and listened for a long minute.
I don't hear anything.
Dr. Rothgard leaned over his chair and reached into his medical bag. He removed a green sprig with fuzzy gray-green heart-shaped leaves and held it above my face. It had the same heady, musky smell as the hospital mask, and I blissfully inhaled it. I felt my lungs expand and contract, and I smelled it again. I was breathing!
How do you feel?
Very strange, weak, and yet...
And yet what?
He moved the greenery closer to my face, and my head spun with its intoxicating fragrance. My hand swiped at it. I really couldn't help it, but quickly Dr. Rothgard moved it out of reach. Far away, the piano notes scurried up and back like tiptoeing mice. I feel strangely invigorated. Dr. Rothgard dropped the plant back into his bag and reached for the ice pack that had fallen to the floor while I was sleeping.
I'll be right back. I'm getting more ice.
The piano music continued even after Dr. Rothgard had left the room. Why was he lying to me? The lovely notes were softer now, yet definitely unmistakable. Dr. Rothgard was obviously covering for someone, and I was going to find out who was playing Ghost. I couldn't wait to see the expressions on everyone's faces when I uncovered the hoax. I dug my elbows into the cushion and tried sitting up again. This time it wasn't so bad, just a little woozy. I swung my legs off the couch and sat all the way up until my feet touched the ground. I leaned my head against the back of the couch. The room looked a little blurry, so I sat still for several minutes until it gradually came into focus. The tempo of the music had changed. It was slow, halting, wistful, almost sad. Was this the root of the ghost story? I had to know. That's why I was here, wasn't it? Gripping the couch's arm for balance, I stood up, swayed, and toppled to my knees. This was insane. Why was I so lightheaded? My legs wouldn't bear my weight, so I crawled to a table, then slowly pulled myself up, breathing hard and sweating from the effort. I stayed in one place until I was certain I could remain upright. Dr. Rothgard had not returned. I had to hurry. I wiped damp hands against my grimy jeans and pressed on the wall for balance. I took a breath, clenched my teeth, and tottered from the room into the hall. The piano music stopped. I heard footsteps, far away at first, then closer. Dr. Rothgard was coming back. Sweat rolled down my face. I wasn't ready for him yet. Which way? Which way? Should I hunt on the main floor for that music, or should I hide upstairs? I decided Dr. Rothgard would have a harder time finding me on that upper level. Besides, If I hid up there long enough, he'd eventually leave, giving me the chance to come back and explore. I waddled to the grand staircase, then, because it was faster, dropped to my hands and knees and crept up the hard wooden stairs. I held my breath against the sneezes that threatened to erupt, for the steps seemed dustier than the parlor, and my face was very near them. My hair flopped into my eyes, but I didn't have time to brush it away. When I reached the second floor, I scampered on all floors around the corner and crouched there, panting for wonderful breath and congratulating myself with outwitting Dr. Rothgard. The door to one of the East End rooms was ajar. Moonlight filtered through a cracked window and cast pale yellow bands across the carpet. I heard the murmuring of voices and again saw my friend. She was dressed in that same shabby Victorian gown I had seen while sleeping in the downstairs parlor and was walking trance-like across the room. Could it be I was still dreaming? I felt awake, but so many bizarre things had happened, how could I be sure? I softly called her name, but she did not answer. She did not even act as if she had heard, so I rose to follow her. I entered the parlor just as she settled on the couch. She looked a little lost, and I was uncertain how to help her. Surely she could not have sleepwalked all the way from the servant's cottage. A tea tray materialized on the sidebar next to me. Now I knew I was dreaming. Curious as to what might happen next, I decided to play along with it. I poured a glass of water for me and a cup of tea for my friend. I was still shaky on my feet, so I firmly held onto the goblet and the saucer while taking mincing steps across the room. Just as I was about to hand the teacup over the back of the couch, a skeleton sprang up and snatched the items from my hands. It gave the tea to my friend and set the glass on the table. Looking confused, my friend obediently accepted it and raised the cup to her lips, and that's when I noticed she was drinking blood. I leaped onto the couch just as the skeleton, teeth bared, was leaning forward to bite her. She choked on the mouthful. Blood splattered onto her face and across the skeleton's face. A bony arm slammed me to the floor. My head banged against a table. Everything went black, but I was somehow still conscious. I shook my head, and the room remained dark. I tentatively moved, crept, and smacked into a kitchen cabinet. A pitter-patter of tiny feet, and my eyes zipped around the room. I sank my nails and my fangs into a huge rat. My stomach dove, I groaned, and woke up. The free-floating parlor dust swirled in the early morning light like gentle snowfall. The room felt cooler now. I shivered and pulled up the Afghan. The fire had gone out. Dr. Rothgard's head flopped over the back of his chair as he slept, but he didn't snore, so different from the noise my father made while dozing over the evening news. I felt rested. No, better than rested. I was rejuvenated. I cautiously stretched each limb, but nothing hurt, except my neck, and that only felt stiff, not sore. I sat up, the couch spring squeaked, and my stomach rumbled. I felt ravenous. Dr. Rothgard grunted and snorted. His eyes fluttered open and immediately rested on me. He shifted position, leaned forward, and motioned for me to come closer.
Let's take a listen to you.
Terrified of what he might do if I disobeyed him, I slid to the edge of the couch and sat quite still as Dr. Rothgard listened to my heart and lungs. When he had finished, Dr. Rothgard looked at me long and hard.
Well, you look better. How do you feel?
As good as new. Dr. Rothgard smiled, but it was a sardonic half-smile. I couldn't tell if my answer pleased him or not. He replaced the stethoscope, snapped the medical bag shut, and rose.
You're positive you don't want to ride?
No. Last night's dream still hung heavy around me.
Please yourself. I don't suppose there's any danger now that it's day.
Then I'm free to go? You won't try to stop me?
Of course you're free to go. You always have been.
I backed away toward the door, expecting him to hamper my escape, but Dr. Rothgard was poking around the fireplace, making sure no embers remained. I fled to the front door, flung it open, and bolted down the steps. Without a single look back, I flew across the estate into the thicker part of the woods. It would take me longer to return this way, but it would be impossible for Dr. Rothgard to track me. Yet he didn't seem to care I left. Well, why should he? Obviously, the horror of the previous night was the result of my overactive imagination. I laughed aloud, triumphantly. I had survived the night. I couldn't wait to gloat and receive the lauds due me. I had won over the villagers. Cowards. The early morning chatter contrasted with last night's dark silence. I never knew the woods could be so noisy. Low groaning mixed with the cracking of jaws, along with cawing and chirping and cooing. Even the tweeting of the birds that had not flown south for the winter was deafening. Lake Munson hungrily lapped the shore. Men murmured quite close to my ears, yet I saw no one. A giant rabbit roared past me, and I stood motionless until my racing, thumping heart calmed down. I was more retired than I thought, but that was easily fixed by napping all the way home. The trees towered overhead, much higher than when I had first ventured into the woods. The dried foliage rose thicker and higher, and it swished against my waist and tangled around my ankles and knees. Was I lost? No, I had to be close, for I smelled strong coffee and the warm buttery scent of Brian's toast, comforting reminders of imminent safety. My legs grew weakened, they burned to move. I swayed and dug my heels into the ground. Slowly and carefully, I waded through the glass. The clearing was ahead. The servant's cottage was in full view. I had made it back, just as I had hoped, but it was too late. With a tiny cry, I dropped to the ground and ran the rest of the way on all four white paws. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bravo. Very good. Speech.
We tried.
Say something political.
No, keep the political garbage out.
No, I don't think so.
We're all